Bestie, let's have an honest chat. How many times have you started the process of learning how to code? So at some point you've decided that you want to learn how to code because you want a new career, a better income, increased flexibility, or any of the other fun tech perks. So you dive into tons of research about what programming languages are currently in demand and what kind of roles you can see yourself in. You have a list of resources set, and then in no time, you're learning how to code. When you're first starting out, there's a learning curve, but you're motivated by what's to come, so you happily push along. But then things might start to get a little bit tougher, concepts and projects start to seem a little bit more daunting, and life starts lifing. And then before you know it, the end, which was in sight, is now starting to seem a little bit more distant. Eventually, you might find a little bit less time to dedicate to coding or studying, or maybe you even just start to miss study sessions altogether. But it's not that your initial desire that you had to become a software engineer has changed. It's just that the initial motivation you had isn't as strong as it was. So along your coding journey, excitement will come and go, but it's discipline that you need to push through those tough moments and see the progress you're looking for. Hey, I'm Bree, a software engineer and your tech bestie who's here to guide and motivate you along your journey into tech. Here's exactly what you're due if you're learning how to code, but the initial motivation has worn off and it's getting hard to find time to consistently study. First things first, I don't want you to worry at all if this is happening to you. This is a cycle that so many of us developers know all too well. Coding is not like riding a bike. If you don't practice consistently, you'll find that it's harder to see progress and get better. So welcome to your roadmap to consistent coding. Your version of consistent might not look like somebody else's, and that's okay. Every developer's journey is very unique, and this framework is going to help you build sustainable coding habits that fit your life. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through creating a study plan, maintaining focus, and how to track your progress. First things first. Consistency starts with a plan, but not just any plan. It has to be a realistic plan that fits your life. So if you're anything like me, you've probably made a perfect plan before. You know the one where you commit to coding every single day for at least an hour? Because everybody wants a contribution chart on GitHub that looks like this. But it's easy to forget to take things like work, family, surprise errands, or different factors of life into the mix. We're gonna build a flexible weekly plan that's tailored to your reality. Building a weekly plan allows you to routinely evaluate how you're feeling to help build out your consistency for the week. We're gonna start by asking ourselves a few different questions. Number one, what are my biggest obligations for the week? Number two, how much time per day can I realistically commit myself to coding? Number three, what do I want to achieve by the end of the week? Do I want to complete a module of a course? Do I want to work on a side project and maybe make sure that it's bug-free? Do I want to work on passing a practice test? And number four, and I think that this is one of the most important ones, how am I feeling? Am I already teetering on the edge of burnout? Mapping out your commitments and priorities is going to give you a clear picture of how much time you can dedicate to coding. Maybe you don't have hours every single day, and that's okay. Sometimes we have to get a little creative. So maybe that means studying during your lunch break, on commutes, or even during a window of peace where everybody in your house is magically occupied. So instead of saying, I'm going to code for an hour every single day, let's try setting some time blocks. So maybe for 1 week, my schedule allows Monday to Wednesday that I can code from 6 to 9 p.m. after work. And then maybe on Thursday, I have a different obligation, so we opt for a lunchtime study session. After putting in a lot of effort Monday through Thursday, I'm feeling a little bit tired. Of course, like work is still a thing. So I'm gonna take a guilt-free break and not commit myself to studying so that I can recharge. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, when things are a little bit less crazy for me, I'm going to opt for a couple of hours on both of those days in the afternoon. When you block out time for uninterrupted coding, you take the guesswork out of your routine, and it makes sticking to your plan feel doable and not daunting. You're not just making a plan, you're setting yourself up for long-term progress that can adapt to whatever life throws at you. Number two, we're gonna make it official. All right, so our weekly plan is mapped out and now it's time to make things official. And by that, I mean putting it into your calendar because we're treating this commitment to yourself as a top priority. I don't care if it's only 30 minutes you have for the day to study. lock it in. Adding regular study blocks to your calendar does more than just remind you. It reinforces to you that this time is important. It's a subtle way of telling yourself that this is a non-negotiable. And let's be serious, when an invite pops up on your calendar and you choose to hit accept, you're making the active decision to work towards your goals, and that is powerful. So use whatever app you already love, Google Calendar, Notion, your phone's calendar app, whatever is going to help you stay the most organized. Schedule your coding times like a meeting that you won't miss, because it is. It's a meeting with the version of you in the future who's reaching their goals one session at a time. And now we're gonna move on to number 3. Be intentional about what you're going to work on. All right, besties. So your coding time is set and it's on your calendar, and now we're ready for the next move. Planning what we're actually going to do and accomplish during those sessions. So here's the golden rule. Don't wait until you sit down to decide what you're going to be working on. If you're anything like me, it is so easy for you to get hit with analysis paralysis. And then you're gonna spend half the time looking at your screen going, where do I even start? And then before you know it, you've spent most of the time trying to figure out what you're actually going to study versus actually studying. Instead, we're gonna plan our sessions in advance. I am a Notion girly, but I have also really been enjoying the simplicity of Google Calendar and Google Tasks lately, so use whatever works for you. For each day and each study session, you're gonna create specific tasks that outline exactly what you want to accomplish. This way, when study time arrives, you're not scrambling. If you need a couple of ideas for tasks, here's sort of how I do it. If I want to watch a portion of a tutorial or a course, I make a task with the timestamps or with the sections that I want to complete. If I'm working on a new feature of a project or maybe debugging something, I create a task for it. And if I'm going to be tackling data structures and algorithms like leak code problems, I definitely create tasks for those as well. This is actually one of my pro tips, to be very intentional about the data structures and algorithms problems that you're solving, especially when you get into interview mode. But I can go over that in a whole nother video if you'd like. One of the best things you can do is break down your task into small, bite-sized pieces. This habit helps you focus and makes progress feel more achievable. And don't forget to leave a little bit of wiggle room inside of your plan. That way, in case things take a little bit longer, like maybe going back to rewatch a portion of a video, you don't feel like your whole plan has been derailed. Plan those sessions with intention, leave a little bit of breathing room, and watch how much more productive your coding time becomes. You'll go from, where do I even start, to, look what I finished. And that, besties, is how you make progress. Number 4 is add joy to study time. Coding doesn't have to be all focus and no fun. Here's the trick. Let's make your study time something you actually look forward to. Make your sessions cozy, make them special. You can start by treating yourself to your favorite drink or maybe a snack, just something that feels a little bit extra. It's like giving yourself a tiny reward for showing up. And if you're a music person, try curating a special playlist that you listen to when you're studying and coding. It's not only gonna keep you in the zone, but it's more than likely gonna put a smile on your face. Now, something cool that I've stumbled upon recently is the concept of a dopamine menu. It's all about planning small, feel-good activities to sprinkle throughout your day, and it's gonna keep your brain happy and motivated. And it's reminded me to stop and take breaks, especially away from the computer, when I see that I'm in the zone or in a very long coding session. And I also shared it on TikTok if you want to take a look. Adding little joys to your coding routine can make all of the difference. So pick up your favorite snack, throw on that playlist, and make your coding session something that you actually look forward to. Because when you're excited to show up, consistently becomes a whole lot easier. All right, now, number 5 is focus. You know what that means? It's time to put the TikTok, Instagram, and endless notifications on pause. Because you don't need to know who liked your post when you're supposed to be coding. So here's the thing. Distractions are everywhere. Our phones, social media, honestly, it all adds up. And while we can't control everything, there are some things we can control. So if you have an iPhone, don't be afraid to get really friendly with those different focus modes or even customize your own to make sure that you're limiting all of the distractions that are necessary. I love these because you can silence everything that you want to, but let's say an emergency comes up or you have a list of people that need to be able to contact you, you can make sure that they can still do that as well. And then if you need a little bit of an extra nudge, try using the screen time feature. It's going to block all of the apps that typically pull you right in, and that way you have to make the active decision to break focus. And if you're still tempted to reach for your phone or you have a little bit of an itch, try putting it across the room, or if you're really bold, try putting it in another room. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind, and you deserve uninterrupted study time. Other things that can break your focus are lighting and noise. So try to create a quiet space or grab your favorite pair of noise-canceling headphones to drown out any background chaos. And soft lighting is your friend. You don't want any harsh lights or very bright lights that could potentially give you a headache while you're already doing something that is very intensive on the brain. Setting up a distraction-free zone isn't just about minimizing noises. It's about creating an environment that supports your best work. The more you invest in focus, the more productive and enjoyable your study sessions are going to be. So set the boundaries, create a cozy corner, and dive into coding. Number 6 is all about progress. And we're going to do that by tracking our progress in a journal. So this isn't just useful, but it's also surprisingly uplifting as well. So journaling your progress doesn't mean you have to have a physical notebook. It's all about documenting your journey in whatever way feels right for you. So if you're not taking a moment to reflect on what you've been learning, it's so easy to forget how far you've already come. And trust me, when you're constantly looking forward to the next thing, it's easy to overlook the wins you've already had. So here's my advice. Journal or document your progress weekly or bi-weekly in whatever journal you'd like. It doesn't have to be a physical journal. It can be a digital option like your phone's notes app, or it can be an audio journal for when you just want to talk things out, or it can even be a GitHub README coding diary. And if you're not sure exactly what to write, here are a few things to get you started. You might want to start with summaries of things that you've learned. You can also try jotting down things that you're excited to learn or things that are coming up on the horizon. You can document, and you should document, milestones and personal wins, no matter how big or how small. Any feedback or advice that you've gotten and how it has changed your approach. You can talk about questions that are like swirling around in your head, and maybe you don't have all of the answers yet, but you just want to get those questions out. Or maybe even concepts that you're still wrestling with, because it's okay to not fully understand everything right away. So journaling isn't just about tracking what you did or what you will do. It's about reflecting and recording the journey. Reflecting on your growth is going to help you boost your confidence and gives you a little nudge to keep in the right direction even when things get tough. So take that time, document your wins and struggles and everything in between, and when you look back in a few months, it's going to be easy for you to see how far you've come, and your future you is going to thank you for it. And my last tip for this video, number 7, is to get an accountability buddy. Okay, so let's be real. Learning how to code sometimes can feel very lonely and very isolating, but it doesn't have to be that way. One of the things that makes your coding journey a lot more enjoyable and a lot more productive is to find an accountability buddy or a study buddy. Now, I don't know about y'all, but once I tell somebody that I'm going to do something, it gives me that extra little bit of pressure to actually follow through on what I said I'm going to do. That's where a study buddy or an accountability buddy really comes in handy. It's not just about having somebody that you can study with. It's about having somebody to do regular check-ins with where you can teach them what you've learned. Because trust me, teaching is one of the best ways to learn. Think about it almost as a team effort or a group effort, because you can have multiple accountability buddies. And when one of you hits a milestone, you all get to celebrate together. There's something special about knowing that you're not alone that helps to keep you motivated. Not sure where to find your accountability buddy or accountability group? The first place I would suggest going is online tech communities that are like focused social media groups, or maybe even check your local coding meetups. You'd be surprised by how many developers out there are looking for the exact same thing that you are, which is a little bit of support and connection. All right, friends, that was a lot. From building a weekly plan that's going to help you find joy in your study sessions, staying focused, journaling your progress, and also finding an accountability buddy. Remember, learning how to code isn't just about grinding through endless tutorials. It's about creating habits that make the journey sustainable, enjoyable, and truly yours. If you found these tips helpful, or you just had a fun time hanging out with me today, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more coding, motivation, and all around good vibes. And if you like short form content, feel free to follow me on TikTok and Instagram as well. Keep going, stay consistent, and remember you're not alone in this. Every line of code, every challenge, and every win is going to bring you one step closer to your goals. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on along the way. Until next time, happy coding!